Laurence Fox has been involved in a costly back and forth of libel claims with 3 people, most recently culminating in the failure of his own libel claim against one Nicola Thorpe, and all of which stems originally from an incident where Laurence Fox accused Sainsbury's of racism. These 3 people, one way or another, accused him of racism in turn. Things were said and lawyers got rich. I'll do something subsequently on this final trench of the whole thing, but something so totally struck me along the way that I decided to do a prelim. These are the people involved: Simon Blake, Colin Seymour and Nicola Thorpe. Simon Blake is a Stonewall activist. Colin Seymour is a drag queen who goes by the moniker Crystal Beth, which is a play on the words crystal meth, which is a deadly drug. He has now dropped the Beth bit, is just Crystal, and he does family-friendly drag shows for children. I'm going to put Nicola Thorpe to one side for now and focus on Crystal Boy. After Fox having a go at Sainsbury's, we had the following exchanges, which resulted in all the trouble. Blake says, "What a mess, what a racist twat." Fox says, "Pretty rich coming from a paedophile." Crystal Beth says, "Imagine being this proud of being a racist, so cringe, total snowflake behaviour." Fox comes back, says the paedophile, and Fox's comments resulted in a successful libel action against him. The judge talked about these people's delicate situations. First, they are not only both gay men, but both had a public profile as such. Mr. Blake in his Stonewall and other diversity roles, and Mr. Seymour in the distinctively gay subculture or art world of drag. But it was point 2 that pricked up my ears. Second, both claimants had, in the course of their respective professions, worked with children in circumstances in which sexual propriety was of the essence, and indeed reputationally so. Mr. Blake had worked extensively with vulnerable children and young people, including in matters relating to their sexual health and well-being. Mr. Seymour's work as Crystal included, as well as adult cabaret, the popular BBC Drag Race context, and a range of, quote, family-friendly, unquote, entertainments, where a measure of judgment, however contestable, was required and expected as to what was fair and appropriate for his audience. In other words, Seymour needed to make potentially contestable judgments about the appropriateness of his work. In other words, parents might object. Mr. Blake's social roles and Crystal's celebrity status in the family entertainment world depend in different ways on trust and gave them access to children, which could be understood as at least capable of being an opportunity for paedophilic gratification, inappropriateness or abuse. By the way, this is Colin Seymour, aka Crystal. So the judge says he had access to children which could be seen as opportunities for paedophilic gratification. Why do I highlight this? Because Colin, Crystal, Seymour simulates jerking off in front of children. 40 seconds of sheer family entertainment follows. If there are any children in the house, get them in front of the screen right this minute. This resulted in an explosion of such rapturous delight from the parents present that the Essex theme park, who had booked Colin Seymour to whack off in front of their children, withdrew their participation in the event and apologised. I return you to the judge's comments. Mr. Blake's social roles and Crystal's celebrity status in the family entertainment world depended in different ways on trust and gave them access to children, which could be understood as at least capable of being an opportunity for paedophilic gratification, inappropriateness or abuse. Do you really think so? And again, this was Fox's interaction with Crystal Beth. He says, imagine being this proud of being a racist. So cringe. Total snowflake behaviour, Fox says the paedophile. Does jerking off in front of children make you a paedophile? I don't know what the legal definition is, and not, according to that, evidently so, because he's never been accused of paedophilia, much less found guilty of it, but this is the Merriam-Webster definition. Sexual perversion in which children are the preferred sexual object. Specifically, a psychiatric disorder in which an adult has sexual fantasies about or engages in sexual acts with a prepubescent child. It doesn't say only rapes a prepubescent child, it says has fantasies about and preferred sexual objects, so there's no actual required contact. The video you saw was last year in 2023, and the tweets were from 2020, so 3 years previously. The judge ruled that there was no evidence of paedophilic behaviour in 2020, and Colin Seymour won his libel action. And in rendering her judgment, the judge is clearly aware of that video. Mr. Seymour became embroiled a couple of years subsequently in wider public debates about the suitability of drag entertainment for children in general, about drag artists reading stories to children, about drag shows for mothers and babies, and about his own family-friendly performances in particular. To the extent that any of this caused additional harm to his reputation, then that does not, of course, establish that serious harm was not caused by the original tweets. So jerking off in front of children doesn't seem to represent a truth defence of his comments, though I do wonder if that performance had happened before Fox said what he said, whether it would have made any difference. And the judge categorically had said earlier in the judgment, finally there is no suggestion whatever that either claimant had himself previously done or said anything remotely capable of justifiably casting the shadow of paedophilia on himself. Their reputations were pristine, whatever. I put that video on Twitter, feel free to retweet it if you care to. The link is in the description box underneath this video, and be careful what you say. I leave you in the capable hands of this redoubtable children's entertainer whose behaviour does not in any way represent paedophilic tendencies in any shape or form whatsoever. Absolutely does not represent a psychiatric disorder in which an adult has sexual fantasies about a prepubescent child. Definitely not. Enjoy the repeat performance.